Yeah, hey, greetings, everybody. Greetings. I'm going to go ahead and play our intro. I think I shouted that out too loud. It is the Midnight Society. I think I'm cursed. So what happens is like I do the show. I do the shows. I have my charger plugged into the phone, and it always acts really weird when I do that. So I'll hit one button, it'll take me right out of it. So it's like, holy crap. All right. Welcome to the Midnight Society. Welcome to the Night of the Strangers. With our special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself, kids.
Ladies first.
Oh, I'm Gory B Movie. I have a show called Gory B Movie where we talk about Gory B movies. Next.
I am John Grande, the cemetery man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names to kick a candy ass. Live and only color here with you on Have Cheetah Will View. Welcome everybody to the Midnight Society. It's a pleasure to be on here again, Pat. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks both of you. You know, I think it's going to be quite a matchup. It's us three versus the three strangers. I like our odds, actually. I got the idea about doing this because I've been doing I don't know, for some reason I just been on a Brian Bertino kick, and we talked about the monster a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, and I thought
saw that one.
Oh, that was that was fun show, and I thought, you know what, I wanted to cover his because all of us have, if I'm not mistaken, we pretty much have everything he's produced and directed.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I want to talk about The Strangers because I've had The Strangers, but I've never watched it. So I thought this would be a perfect time for us to talk about it and also talk about the sequel, which is The Strangers Pray at Night. And so, of course, I asked the lovely Gory B Movie and the fellow Steeler fanatics, John Grande, to come out and hang out, and we're going to talk about the movies.
Hell yeah.
The Strangers will be on our channel tonight. We're going to talk about it for a couple hours, chop it up, and then at 10:30ish, we're heading on over to Gory's channel to talk about The Strangers Pray at Night. So it's going to be a night of strangers.
Don't talk to strangers.
I can just tell you, John, we're already best friends because you have a Leprechaun 3 poster. So
that's a legit, that's a one-sheet poster right there, too. That is the real deal.
That's like my favorite Leprechaun movie. So
that's my favorite one, too.
There you go. Now we're best friends.
This is a reprint. I can't lie. The Elm Street 4 is a reprint, but this is the real deal Holyfield right here. That's the
Love that little guy.
4. That poster's older than me.
He's up there somewhere.
I think Gory, I think you're the most passionate Leprechaun fan in this community.
Oh, perfect.
I was so happy. My video on Leprechaun, it may not have gotten thousands and thousands of views, but the director watched it. He said it was the best Leprechaun video ever. The producer watched it, and the guy who played Ozzy watched it, and they all loved it. So
wow,
that was pretty cool.
That'd be like Pamela Springsteen if she ever watched my channel. Well, that will never happen.
Because you like Sleepaway Camp movies?
I have the Sleepaway Camp 3 1-sheet in my this is my room, actually. I've decided to just record up here tonight because it was
I have
Sunday.
the survival kit. The
DVD. Do you really? Yeah. The Best Buy Red Cross or the other one?
The one that's all white. I don't know exactly.
There's one that has the Red Cross, and they actually recalled those from shelves because
I gotta find out.
Yeah, they got pissed that one's super rare if you have that one. The other one is like a reprint.
It's probably the reprint. No, it just says survival kit.
No Red Cross. Oh yeah, that's the reprint.
It still kicks ass though.
Still kicks ass. Yeah, that's my favorite like movie series of all time. Probably.
All right. Well, we're gonna have a slumber party one of these days and talk some Sleepaway Camp movies.
Hell yeah, Sleepaway Camp and Slumber Party Massacre up in here.
We need to do that. All of us just get in our pajamas and just talk about.
You know what? I would actually dig that. We start at like what? Start about 11 o'clock and to see if we can push it all the way through. That would be
That would be
fun.
crazy.
Though this week though on Friday the 13th. So I got an invitation. I got an invitation to do a watch party for a Friday the 13th, and I said, oh, all right, yeah, all right, well, yeah. Oh, what time are you starting it? I think I'm starting at 3 a.m. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? I'm like, excuse me, what time did you say? 3 a.m. Oh my God.
Are they in Ireland? Because that's not too bad on our time.
No, the Eastern, our time.
Well,
Our
your
time.
time. I'm in the past.
My time.
It's only 5 o'clock here.
Yeah, it would have been
wow.
midnight. It would have been fine if it had been the West Coast, because it would have been midnight, and I can understand that. But 3 a.m. and I'm going like, what? I already struggle as it is to sleep. I'm going like, there's no way in hell I could do that for 3 a.m. I don't even think I could have done it for Adam Marcus. Like, I don't think I could have. I don't think I could have stayed up that late to cover a movie.
If
But
they're talking about the Matchbox 20 song 3 a.m., I kind of get it. Just saying.
Uh,
Ooh, also that's the devil's hour. So if it's like an exorcist stream.
ooh. All right. Well, you know what? I think we do a slumber party, and I think we should.
Jammies, everybody.
Jam. Oh, I have jammies.
Oh, I have jammies too. I
Gina,
got one for days.
Gina wears a one suit.
We're planning after this, boys.
Yeah, John. What do you think? Do a slumber
John was
party.
already on, so I'm already. It wasn't ahead of you.
All right. You know what? We're gonna talk about this. We have to do it before the end of winter.
For everyone watching, I know you probably don't care about our conversations, but friendships are being formed here, guys. All right, it's important.
That's right. See, Midnight Watch Night of the Demons 1 and 2. There's some suggestions. The Wraith. That was a very fun movie. Wow, that would be actually probably just as much fun as the Sleepaway. Is actually picking out what you're watching.
Ooh, or we could do it like a watch party because we're in our jammies with snacks.
Yeah, right. Snacks. You gotta have snacks.
Snacks. All right, we'll work out the details.
So the Strangers. Okay, so I'm late to the party with the Strangers. I mean, I've had the movies for a while, but this is before I really got into Brian Bertino. I got into Brian Bertino because of The Monster. That was my introduction to him.
That's a great one. I love that one.
That's a fantastic movie.
I think her name's Zoe Kazan before she really blew up with like She Said and everything she's doing now. So she's terrific.
And the other the young actress who's played her daughter is Ella Ballantyne, and I think she's just going to school right now per se. But as soon as she gets done and she gets back into it, she's a fantastic talent, as we saw in that movie. Yeah. She's going to blow up too. I've gotten a lot of her films, and her and Zoe Kazan, they did a really great job. Really atmospheric. So that got me going, and then I saw The Dark and the Wicked. So that was after that, and we're like, okay, this guy's a keeper. He's got skills. And the funny thing is, though, I've had The Strangers for a while, and I also had the Black Coat's Daughter. So
I did like that one. My only complaint with the Black Coat's Daughter was the casting. I refuse to believe that Kieran Shipka and Emma Roberts are supposed to be the same character when they're already like the same age. That part kind of pissed me off. But beyond that, great film.
Have you seen the Black Coat's Daughter yet, John?
I have not. I've seen The Monster, and I thought it was like very middle of the road. I thought like the idea and the premise, that stuff was definitely in the right place, but the movie itself, I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know how I am on Brian. I'm definitely going to be the odd man out on this show. I'm not a big Brian Bertino guy at all. But
you guys kind of have that South Park song in your head right now, though. Like, what would Brian Bertino do if he was here right now? He made The Strangers and the Monster too. That's what Brian Bertino do.
I think we can convince you by the end of this show that Brian Bertino is definitely a guy to keep an eye on. He's a really strong writer. I mean, his screenplays are really strong. His castings are smart. His castings are smart, which really helps his movies. The second, I will say, this casting on the of Strangers, the Prey, the Prey, the second movie, um, Pray at Night. I do think that was a little bit of more stunt casting than effective casting. I will say that.
I
Did
think they got
Bertino,
brilliant
didn't he do a
people for
clown
it.
movie of some sort? Brian Bertino? Am I wrong there?
Did he?
Didn't he direct a movie? It was like about a clown. I forget the fucking name of it, but I believe that was his follow-up to this movie. And that I saw that and I hated that.
Let me find out. I'm gonna look on IMDb. I don't actually know.
Yeah, if memory serves, he wrote, produced, or something with
Mockingbird. I haven't seen that one.
And Mockingbird's, yeah, it's a 2014, right?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
not seen them. I have not seen them.
I'll be honest, I'm not in like the, when he makes a movie, I'm there to watch it just yet. I did like The Strangers. I like The Strangers Pray at Night a lot more.
Me
I will
too.
say, unpopular opinion.
I would agree with that.
Did not like The Dark and the Wicked. And I love The Monster. So far I'm interested when he makes a new movie, but I'm not instantly sold that it's going to be amazing. But I think he is incredibly talented. Even his movie I didn't like, The Dark and the Wicked, I can still tell you it's beautifully directed. It's just a lot of the stuff with the story and the characters didn't work.
How much was he creatively involved in the sequel to The Strangers though? Because I know he didn't direct it.
No, he co-wrote it. Yeah, he co-wrote it.
Co-wrote it, okay, and probably produced it.
Probably. Let's see. I know that he definitely Johan Roberts directed it. He co-wrote it with Ben Ketzai, and then I'm sure he did. I'm sure he executive produced it too.
Okay.
I'm sure he did.
I love you, Dad. You're just like, I haven't decided if I like him yet.
I have to say, I mean, and I'm saying this too, going forward. I think every movie he's done has gotten stronger. I mean, it has gotten better, and that's the whole key when you watch a director. It's like, is he doing anything? Is he saying anything different? Like, I know that they're supposed to be redoing either making a third part, or they're rebooting The Strangers. I don't see him doing anything but producing that. I don't see him having any. He's already been there. He's done that not once but twice. I don't see him going back to do it again.
I will say, I mean, we can talk about this more when we talk about Pray at Night. Pray at Night, I know he co-wrote it, but that dialogue does not sound like his dialogue. It's very witty, more like Kevin Williamson-y. So I already don't know how much he was really involved in that one, because it doesn't feel like one of his movies.
No,
he's a lot different.
He does not. He's not really right. Lighthearted.
He's really moody. Really moody. He likes to draw out that suspense. That creepy feeling when you hear something in your house and you're walking around in the dark. He lives in that moment, and he does it so well. And I think that's what I like best about him, is he's willing to let these like moments of suspense kind of breathe and draw the audience in.
That's a really good point, Gory, that you can tell about his writing, because his writing is not light. It's always heavy. Everything that I've seen him in is heavy. This movie, The Strangers, was heavy. The Monster was heavy. The Dark and the Wicked was heavy. There's really no lightheartedness in
I don't feel like he has a sense of humor, and that's okay. That's okay.
I like my horror. I don't mind a slice of humor, a very thinly sliced, but I don't want to be played for laughs. I mean, if you're into the horror, I want you to scare me. I want you to disturb me. I want you to get me thinking. I don't want to laugh.
I kind of want the full meal deal. I think the best horrors are the ones where because I mean, life is comedy and romance and action and horror. That's life. Buffy the Vampire Slayer beautifully combined every genre. That's my favorite show of all time. Shaun of the Dead, effectively scary movie, but it is funny. And I think even when you have a more serious tone, you can have a couple jokes in there. Jordan Peele's done this really well with his films.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't think the comedy takes away from it, but it does help balance the tension.
I agree with that.
Yeah, because you don't want to have too many jokes on there, because then you won't have any tension at all. You know?
It's a balancing act. And I think that's why comedians are so good at directing horror, because they understand that the way to craft a joke You know, it's all about timing, and that's how it is with crafting a scare.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, that's one of the reasons why it really sort of for me, like when I was watching I was watching Nightmare on Elm Street. To me, that's what really hurt this franchise is when they put too many jokes on it, and that sort of started spreading out to other, like Leprechaun and whatnot. You started hearing the killer always spout off a one-liner before they kill somebody. It's like, okay, that's cute. That's cute, but I don't want to see it in every movie. I don't mind you being a badass. I don't mind you being mean and vicious. I think that's why silent killers. I think that in a way that's the reason why they probably work a little bit better.
I get
Except for Chucky. Chucky's. We all know what Chucky's about.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I see Ben Grimm in the comments says that Rennie Harlan's going to be doing the new Stranger movies, which is very interesting. I mean, Rennie hasn't made anything worth a shit in a long time, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I love this movie that Rennie Harlan did, but
he's been given some really big projects before, and I feel like he's kind of dropped them. So with him, I'm not going to discount it, but I'm going to be skeptical.
Yeah, like it's a long time away from like when he was making movies like the Die Hard sequel and Cliffhanger and Mind Hunters, and it like that. The prime Rennie Harlan is pretty gone. Like I don't know if like didn't he make 12 rounds with John Cena? Like that's when your fucking career is over, man. Like,
yeah, I think he's more of a hired gun now. He's come him. They give him a small budget. So he's still got skills. I saw he directed a movie called Cleaner with Samuel Jackson and Ed Harris. Man, that was strong. That was real strong. In fact, my only complaint was with that Ed Harris and Samuel Jackson didn't have enough scenes together, but it was a very well made movie.
Okay.
And okay, not a popular opinion. Yeah, but I love Cutthroat Island.
That's when I kind of was like, and he dragged Perdina Davis into it because she married him. I'm like, oh, you poor
yeah,
thing.
but she was
doing great until then.
She was so good in that though. Hey Grubby, how are you? Everybody saying hi to everybody. I have to pay attention to the chat.
Oh, Wes too. Hey Wes.
The Ice Lord is cometh.
Who's this?
The Ice Lord and Terrence and a special guest. They were chopping up X today and talking about Maxine. Hey Casey, how are you? All right. So any fans of The Strangers? Any fans of The Strangers? What Stranger movie did you like the best, chat? Give me a 1 if it's for the one, and give me a 2 if it's for the second one. Or if you love them both equally, give us a 3. All right. I think a sequel is harder in this situation to make. So I think that I think that we're gonna be over at Gory's channel. I definitely think that we'll be chopping it up a little bit more because that movie had a lot more going on for it. The Strangers itself, while on paper it seems pretty simple, but there's a lot of different things that I noticed from watching this.
The movies are both saying completely different things. And I think if you're looking for a good time, Pray at Night's the only way to go. But I think, unfortunately, I mean, we all want to believe that in a horror situation that we're going to do the right thing. Some people really do just freeze up. And unfortunately, that's what these people are. It does make it hard to watch because it's almost like a snuff film. And I'm like, Jesus, Liv Tyler, did you have to trip right now? Come on. But she is literally prey. She's completely vulnerable. And I think that's why we really root for her. But unfortunately, that is reality. There are some people who just don't know how to fight back.
Yeah, I wonder if that was one of the themes that Bertino was trying to get through in this movie. Because I was thinking, it's almost like it could almost be like a little bit of a nod toward, like owning a gun. This is the reason why you own a gun in your house. Was that a theme? As small as it was that like a theme in the movie? Like this could happen to you, so be armed, be prepared. They weren't.
I think he didn't even know how to use the gun.
No. And did you see? Yeah, when he admitted that too, and he says, "I just said that just to say it," and all of a sudden you see like Liv Tyler's face is like,
She's like, oh
"That's
fuck.
that's a really good time for you to tell me that."
But she's
um,
also not arming herself either.
no,
And I
no,
think our first indication that these are very passive people who are not equipped for this situation is their relationship. He has proposed to her and we don't see it exactly. She either didn't give him an answer or just, yeah, in some way she turned him down.
yeah,
And he's not angry. She's not angry. It's all very like, oh, that's not normal emotions. And they're sitting here trying to get through their night. And it's really awkward because they're very nice, very passive people. And so you just know these people don't have fight in them.
no. I think that you're right because he just I actually thought he actually I know a lot of people say, well, wouldn't he be pissed off if he asked her, got turned down or whatnot? Wouldn't it be like hurt and be more like show that more? But I actually thought that his character I thought his character showed he was because it wasn't like she shot him down. She just says not yet. It's like maybe in a year from now when you ask me, maybe I'll be ready. Right, but right now I'm not. And so his character's name is James in the end, and I thought that he he handled the rejection. I thought he handled it okay. He was a little bit downtrodden, and you could tell that she still loves him. She didn't stop loving him. It wasn't anything that he did. It's that she still wants to live a little bit before she settles down.
Here's my thought. I think she knows he's not right for her, but she does love him. And people have that experience in life. And here's, you know what? I support her. I think he was all right at first. I mean, he's doing all the nice guy stuff. Like, I'm going to make you a fire and I'll go get your cigarettes. And he does all that right. But when it really counted, when she said there was a man in our house, he is attacking us. And he says, you're wrong. There's no one. He wasn't even fucking there. When it counted, he did not back her up. He did not believe her. I wouldn't marry him either.
Well, you know what? I was really surprised. It's like, why would the hell after being knocked, the door being knocked at 4 a.m. by that? Why in your own mind would you sit there and like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead after that happened? Why would you go ahead and leave the house to get cigarettes? I'm sorry, but babe, you're gonna have to wait until the morning time before I do that. I don't, or you're coming with me, instead of just staying here. I at 4 o'clock in the morning. I wouldn't have left her behind by herself after that.
Yeah, he said he just wanted a drive and to clear his head, but I think he's trying to still show her, like, look at all the things I can do to be a good husband. But I think he's missing like what really counts. And I think she senses that. She knows she can't really count on him. And she can't. Later on, too, another thing that pisses me off in this movie, they split up. They know they're being attacked. There's 3 of them. There's 2 of you. You have a chance. You have a gun. All right. My money's on you guys. If you stick together, if you split up, there's good or dead.
Yeah, me and John were talking about that beforehand. It's like in a situation like that, I already know what I'm doing. You're staying together and you're going after the dude. You're taking it to them. You're looking for him. Instead of them coming to you, you're going to them and him, like the guy. Yeah, I basically it's like you're calling him out. Yeah, I want you. Because once you stop him, the girls are going to probably fade out.
Their initial plan wasn't terrible, where they are holed up in the room and they had a gun pointed at the door. Now, I don't know why he doesn't recognize the voice of his own best friend. I would know my best friend's voice. If she said hello, I'd be like, oh, okay, she's not the creepy doll girl. That's Becky. I'm not going to shoot Becky. She's all right. And we'd all team up together and then we'd Wolverines on their ass. But this isn't this guy because he's a dumbass. But even when he did shoot his friend, I would have been like, okay, next bullet's going in that guy. I'm going to make this not be for nothing. Their plan was fine. Sit in the room, wait for them to come in.
Right. I agree with that. Yep. That's exactly what it is. Put your back against the wall. It's at 4 a.m. when it first started. How long do you have to last until the sun comes up?
Because more people are going to come. You're all right.
I mean, you're not going to, they're at night. I mean, as soon as the day comes, they're not going to stick around for that. You know, there's going to be everybody's going to be up and around. I mean, you're going to be able to see if you want to make an escape, you'll be able to do that. I mean, there's all sorts of options to you with the sunlight. But you know, stay in. You know, I'm with you. I mean, you can stay in place with the gun, or if you shot your best friend and you really wanted some revenge, then you go after the main guy. You go after the guy. You go after the biggest person you see.
Like I said, though, those guys are hunting them. So if they just sit in that room, that's a good plan. You've got the advantage. You have a gun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a. You know, one thing that really got me too was just, you know, he laid the house out really nice. You know,
Yeah.
he did. He has some thoughts. He has some thought behind it. I tell you, the one thing that got me was when he went and he got the half gallon of ice cream, and no one put it away during the whole damn movie. I'm waiting for someone to
That's
put the
the
lid
most
on the ice
bad
cream.
comment I've ever heard. Next, you're going to be mad that they fussed with the thermostat.
Yeah, I think I was going like, okay, he's eating out of there, and then he's not putting it away. It's just sat there, and it's like, well, is someone gonna put it away? I mean, is the killer gonna? Can you guys, you know, while you're hunting us, can you put away the ice cream for us? It was, I don't know. I just seeing something like that. I was just like, you know, it was a small detail. It was just a small detail. It's like, okay, no one thought about that. I guess it was just weird. Even after he left, the ice cream was still there. Before any of this shit happened, it was still sitting on the table.
Still there to this day.
Yeah.
It haunts the house.
Now, would you have left your significant other in that situation after someone knocked on your door at 4 a.m.?
You never split up. That's the thing. Like I feel like these characters they give horror a bad name. Like this is if well, I'm always one to defend horror and people that say, oh, it's stupid, the characters are stupid, whatever. And I'm always one to say, hey, what would you do in the situation? But this is one of those movies that, like, if someone was to try to counter argue me, would show up in front of my face, and I'd be like, shit, I don't know what to say, because you're right. These characters are ridiculously offensively dumb, to the point where, like Gory was saying, you shot your own best friend. You didn't know that was your best friend. Like,
well, there was a record player playing.
It's still
that muffled the sound a little bit. Like when he came in there, he did say, hey James," and they couldn't hear him because the record played. To me, though, the guy should have said, I'm going to go over there and turn that off. You know, to me, it's like, that's what I would have done if I would have came in a situation like that.
He said hello, and
you think he's going to think in that moment to turn the record play? Oh, let me think to do this because my best friend could. Like, there's no way. I feel like that's Monday night quarterbacking.
I would say if this is a guy off the street, if it's the Mormon kids, they don't know their voices, but I know my best friend's voice. I know my mother's voice. I know my brother's voice. There's certain voices I would know instantly who that is. That's his best friend, the guy who's picking him up the next day, who loves him so much. He's showing up at 5 o'clock in the morning to check on him. He should know his voice.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, and listen, there's movies that have done that. Like, even the year before this, Inside came out, and there's the scene where the lead protagonist, she's in the bathroom, and the mother comes up to check on her, and she accidentally kills her own mom. But there's no dialogue there. She just goes to open the door. There's not a word said. It's, oh my God, I just murdered my own mother. Holy shit. That's a situation where I get it completely. But this is just like, you hear the guy's voice, you know that I think Gory hit it right in the head. These are two people that were not stable for this type of situation. They were doomed from the start, as opposed to the sequel where the two young kids, they rise above, fight back, and I think show off. But this, I don't know, weak for me.
I took a long time ago when I was young, I took a self-defense course, and they said something that was really like kind of stuck with me with horror movies. And they said a lot of how you protect yourself is how you carry yourself. If you walk down the street with your shoulders slumped and you got the hoodie on and everything, you are basically presenting yourself as prey. People can look at you and tell that you're an easy target. If you walk with your shoulders back and you walk with, confidence, most people don't want to have you fight back. And so they would say that's one of the first things you can do. And I think it's because people like this who attack other people, they have a sense of noticing what kind of people are prey. And my only explanation for this is that these people, when they knocked on their door, they're like, oh, these guys are easy. They don't know. They're not going to know what to do.
And they're not wrong, though. That's the thing.
Exactly.
I'll say, a constant cliche of character arc in a horror movie is the final girl that starts off, I couldn't harm a fly. By the end, she's going toe to toe in a chainsaw dance.
Yeah.
That, and I love that. But there's no arc to be had here. They start weak, they finish weak, and the real psychology is the whole kind of, if you want to call it a twist or the rationale or a motive for what the killers are doing. I don't know if we want to get there yet, but when you get to that point, to me, it just feels so blah for me personally. But I know some people that makes the movie for them. But I don't know. Grant, I don't want to jump the shark, but we can continue. I'm sorry.
But what do you think the motivation of the killers are?
I think it's weak, whatever it is.
Status. I mean, that's the most chilling part of the movie is they say, "Why did you do this? Because you were home." In part 2, why did you do this? Why not? They are truly psychotic. We know that because they leave Liv Tyler alive at the end, meaning they don't care about getting caught. She's still alive, and she's probably going to get help because we know the kids called the police. They don't care. There's a part in part 2 where there's a gun on her and she drops the knife and she's like, "Okay, shoot me." They're truly psychopaths. They're doing it because they can.
Yeah, they forced the religious thing too, which completely threw me. Like to have they're in the car and then they get the brochure from the kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Like that, it feels so tacked on to me. Like some producer in a 3-piece suit in a fucking studio was like, "Oh, throw a religious thing in there." Like it feels so forced where it's like, I'm like, oh, like it makes me want to pull the hair out of my head. Like
I think I really didn't bother. That didn't really bother me at all. What would have been more impactful for me was they showed their faces, they hid their faces all along. And at the very end, when they did that, when she says, sometimes I think if they would have slowly panned up to her, at least her face, I think it would have been, and because she would have just been a normal looking person. She wasn't a freak or anything else like that. She's just a normal, probably housewife or whatever. That's the impression you get. If she's just a normal person, normal looking person, I think it would have just been added a little bit more punch by showing her face, at least partially. And I that's the only thing I probably would have changed with that scene there. And 2, I was actually thinking, going like, who does that anymore? I they used to be, you see Mormons all the time riding, but you don't see them doing. I was like, you don't see them riding around. You don't see them in neighborhoods anymore.
I do.
Oh, do you?
All the time. And I'm like, still Wiccan, guys. Catch you later.
Yeah, the Jehovah Witnesses, they set up a little stand outside the library. So every Tuesday I see the Jehovah Witnesses.
I have family that's Mormon, so I think I'm on like a list. So I actually like the ending, that little bit at the end, and I'll tell you why. Because I think it further drives in this notion that they're not afraid of anything. That's what makes them scary. I mean, maybe the man's scary because he's taller than me, bigger than me, but those girls are about the same size as I am. What's scary is that they're so confident. Like they don't care if they're going to die. They're doing this just for fun. Like that's how confident they are that I'm going to die, that they can kill me. And even if I did win, there's no consequences for them. She says, "You're going to die because her boyfriend's coming home." They don't care. They don't respect him as an authority. They don't respect the cops as an authority. And they don't respect God as an authority. They fear nothing. And I think that's supposed to make them scarier because they fear no consequences. And so that means that they can and will try to do anything.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I don't know. Like, I guess my thing with this movie is it's one of those where I feel they built the tension for far too long with such a lack of a payoff. There's no payoff. It's just kind of, because you were home, we stabbed you in the stomach. Oh, we're religious. And then it's just like a jump scare. I feel it's quite weak. And I know there are probably people that will throw stones and say, "Hey, you're the guy who likes funny games," because I'm a huge fan of funny games, which is similar finale. Granted, I feel like that was the point of that movie. This movie, it's building to nothing. And like I feel like there's a lot of movies similar to this that have better payoffs, like whether it be them that's one of the French Extremity films from this time, this is an unofficial remake to that movie, which the twist in that is it's all children doing it.
Yeah, it's kids. It's little hoodlums.
Yeah, and then basically they ask the kids, "Why'd you do this?" And they say that they wouldn't play with us. Which even that I think is way more brilliant. Like these kids were just trying to play. You know,
I feel
I
like
think
The
that
Purge stole a lot from this movie. Like I was watching it, I'm like the swinging stuff. Which one came out first? Purge came out like 10 years after this one, and it stole a lot.
It did. It did. But you know, this is the suspense though. That's a Bertino trademark. I mean, that's what he does in all his movies. He really works on the suspense. I mean, every movie, all the movies I've seen of his has made that a main focus point. He is all about ratcheting up the tension. Every minute gets more and more and more. All
He does
three
good
movies.
drawing it out, like letting you wait and letting you look around the frame, because he does those great wide frames where you're looking like behind countertops and stuff. And I think one of the best scares in the movie is when she's in the dining room area and then the masked man comes out and I like that. And that one, there's no jump scare sound or anything. It's just, like we see it and she doesn't. And that causes some really cool
Yeah,
things.
I like that scene. I liked how he's very restrained. He's not like a, it's not like, when something happens, there's like crushing music, or, boom, bombastic, on bombastic. He's letting it play out organically, and like in the Strangers, the guy comes out of the kitchen, and there's no like, da da da, or like you said, a jump scare. It's just like, this is what happened. He got into the house. Now he's looking, now he's right behind her, and there wasn't anything to announce it. It's just, one second he's not there, and the next second he is there. But when he does pop up, though, yeah, you get affected by that. It's like, holy shit,
There is really good sound design too. Like they make that knocking sound so loud because that's how it would jolt you at 4 o'clock in the morning. Like it's not a sound you would expect to hear, and your house is so quiet.
Yeah.
As far as the couple goes, whether because they were slowed down due to alcohol, because from the party they went to the champagne they drank when they got home, the reflexes were not exactly sharp. Like I know if someone came knocking at my door at 4 a.m., I'm already hyper. I mean, I'm already like, because that's not normal behavior.
I love Liv Tyler, and I do feel for her because she's so vulnerable in this movie, but she's just like a little lamb in the woods. Like she has no fight. She expects him to take care of her. And that's what really frustrates me with her. Like I always say, like, Laurie Strode, like there's a lot of time, like, girl, do not drop your knife. But Liv, even the part that really pisses me off was when she's in the pantry, like, even animals that are not liable to usually attack people, almost any animal, if you attack it or put pressure on it, will bite you.
Sure.
They're coming to the damn pantry and you still can't throw cans. You can't grab one of those slats and stab at her. She just takes it. I'm just like, honey, how did you like survive this long into life? I don't
know. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's very curious. It is curious. I mean, they're both probably coming from families of means, which probably would, and like I said, the mood that they were in, the alcohol probably slowed down everybody's reflexes, everybody's thinking. But she did have a knife. She did pick up a knife, but then she put it down. And it's like
she cut herself with it.
Yeah,
her injuries, falling down and hurting her leg, and cutting herself. She did to her damn self. Like, honestly, if they waited another hour, she would have ended up killing herself by accident, like Tucker and Dale versus Evil style. She is like a lemming. Poor dear. The only time she shows strength in the movie is when they're stabbing her boyfriend and she tells him to look at her. I was like, okay, that's some strength, but I wish she had a little bit more punch to her, because
I do too.
I don't know too many people who are that passive. Even Gandhi would have socked that bitch.
Yeah.
It's not like that Liv Tyler. It's not like Liv Tyler could, can't do that, because we see her. You're right. Right. I mean, look at her. She's more than capable of being a badass. Wilding. She was pretty badass in Wilding as well. but yeah, I just thought her character was a little bit passive. You do wish you could have seen just a little bit more more assertiveness, which I think the second movie covers a lot better than the first one, from what I understand. I think. I think.
I
I
100%
think the second
agree.
one, yeah, because both the women in the second one, they fight. Uh, let's see. Oh, okay. Oh, thanks, Extron. Thank you. Yeah, this is like what this is a good movie to pick up. I know John's not the biggest fan yet. I think by the I think by the end of the night we'll have him convinced.
He
At
likes
least
leprechaun, so he should
at
look
least
the man alive.
if you saw a copy of the copy of the movie for $1, you buy it.
He'd like
But
it if there was a leprechaun in it.
I would like it if there was someone with a brain in it. Yeah, for sure.
Shots fired. No more
ooh,
effective shots than were fired in this movie.
what did you
Nah,
think?
sure. Yeah, at his own best friend. Jeez.
What did you think of the technical aspect of the film? I thought it was really well shot. I loved the house that they shot it in. I thought the atmosphere was I thought it was really well done. I thought it was very well established. And I do like the fact, one of the things I really liked about it too is they used not so much loud music. Like a lot of times horror movies or suspense movies tend to over score it. I thought it was a lot more restrained, and I thought the songs that they used, I thought they fit.
Yeah, I think like that's the main thing I feel like people like about this movie. Like the number one thing when people mention if they like this movie, it's the atmosphere and the setting. Like I think the setting is the main sell point of this movie because if you've ever had an upstate house, you ever had a house in the middle of nowhere, or stay with friends or whatever, I think that's the thing that people put themselves in the situation from past memories like that. And this movie, while it starts off okay, I think when it starts building the tension, I'm like, okay, like we're on to something here. And then I feel like it just completely crumbles. I think there is, I know Pat said it wasn't overscored, but I do think there's quite a few sequences where it's the slow building music that kind of pays off at a jump scare, but there's not much to pay off. I don't know. I don't know about the music of this movie. I definitely do. I would agree they use good songs. I would say some of the stuff they have playing on the records, that stuff's effective.
The
But
Merle Haggard stuff.
yeah, I
Mhm.
think that stuff works okay for sure. And like in the track, I don't know the song, the name of the song, but it's like it keeps skipping on the record. It's like makes you look good. I don't know the name of that
Yeah,
fucking
there's
song,
one
but
they play, and it's like I don't know. They play a couple Merle Haggard songs, and I think there's one other one,
yeah.
like old kind of bluesy country songs.
Those fit. I thought those fit fine. I just thought like the score itself, like I don't know, nothing to run home about. I don't know. I think maybe it's just like one of those movies that started off good with promise and then it just built the tension for far too long with no payoff.
Mm.
Honestly, I didn't notice any music aside from the sound, like the track music, the Merle Haggard music. I think the sound design overall is really good because it is really quiet, and so like the knocking and stuff really stood out to me. But I didn't really notice the music. I will say with this one, because I do own it. I have the Scream Factory one. I rewatched today, and on a rewatch, this one plays real slow because I'm just like, Jesus, I know she's gonna walk out there for 5 minutes before what's his butt comes home. I'm just like, God, I got time to make a sandwich. Honestly, it kind of reminded me back of dial-up days where I'm like, I got a good 5 minutes before we connect to the internet. I'm like, he's not going to come back for 5 minutes. I can go.
What kind of sandwich did you make?
What kind of sandwich did I make? Oh, peanut butter.
There
Nice,
you go.
nice. Um, this sort of brought back it's forced a little bit about the home invasion genre because this is not like it's not the first home invasion. We've seen other movies about it.
Home invasions have gone back way like Wait Until Dark. I mean, it's
Yeah,
an old.
that's exactly the movie I was going to mention is Wait Until Dark. I mean, that's the first and foremost classic. And
I'm
that
glad
movie.
you brought that up because Audrey Hepburn was freaking blind and she kicked those dudes' butts by herself.
You know what though? I will say this. Like her husband. Oh God, I hated her husband. Oh, I hated her husband. Her husband treated her like a porcelain doll. and it was just like, and she was so dependent on him at the beginning of the movie. It was sickening. It was like, oh, darling this and darling that, and he's like, do it yourself, do it yourself. But by the end of that movie, yeah, she was doing it herself. That was another good, strong movie that benefited from three invaders. We had three invaders, and
Come in threes.
yeah, yeah. I saw a Scott Adkins movie, a home invasion movie, in fact, called Home Invasion, that had a little bit more. I think they had like 5 people, but they were there for like more robbery than they were for terrorizing anybody. I mean, Wait Until Dark, they were there to collect the drugs, but yeah, I think that's probably the first that I can think of, the first home invasion movie that I saw. Um, I think it's a primal fear, from everybody. Like what would happen if our house got invaded? Maybe this is one of the reasons why we don't see a whole lot of those movies per se. Because it's like the home is supposed to be the last line of defense, right? Against all else.
A big uptick, like 2015. There was a lot of them that year.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of them.
It goes in phases.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. I think like, and they've been doing them like you guys said, even since Audrey Hepburn, and like I like most home invasion movies. Like I like the concept of someone coming into your home and you have to defend yourself or you're going to die. Like I like the whole concept of a home invasion movie, and I think there's a lot of them that do it well. Even like right around this time period, like 2007, 2008 ish, it definitely was popping off for sure. I don't know. This is just one that it's surprising to me. I looked up because I was interested how this movie did at the box office. It was a smash.
Yeah,
smash hit. They held it back like a 6-month period. It was supposed to be released in November of the previous year. They held it into June of 2008, and it was a smash hit. 21 million its opening weekend. I think it grossed like 80 something million worldwide. That's crazy good for this movie, in my opinion. I'm surprised they didn't do a sequel immediately. Like it took them 10 years. That's mind blowing.
Yeah, at that time, I think horror was still struggling to get some kind of like acceptance, like mainstream acceptance.
Yeah, well,
you know how that goes.
Saw was taking over at that point. Saw had it all, and then there was the remakes.
Torture porn, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, Paranormal Activity had just in 07, and those movies were about to take and dethrone Saw with the mainstream. But like this movie, they did not expect it to do as well as it did. It did great, and it's crazy to see that the sequel, they cut the budget in half and just kind of threw it out there.
Yeah.
Weird. It's very weird. I don't understand.
Yeah, I think the sequel looks even better. Just my opinion. I like the sequel a lot more. I like this movie. Patrick, don't get sad. Don't get sad, Patrick. I like it. I just like the second one more.
No. I was just trying to think of some other home invasion films that I remember.
I have some fun facts for you. You want some fun facts?
Yeah.
More fun. Let's do some fun facts.
So I love when a movie says it's inspired by true events, because
yes,
it almost never is. I have a whole show on my channel called Real versus Real because I just love that. This is one. It's not. It has similarities. I believe, accidentally to Them, which is a fictional movie. It has similarities to the Ketty murders, where they were in a cabin and people came in and there's just a lot of dead bodies the next day, though there were survivors. I guess there was one in this. But I love this. The inspired by is because Brian Bertano, when he was young, really young, like, I don't know, like 13, someone did come to their house at like 4:00 in the morning and asked, "Is Tamara here?" And it stuck with him. It freaked him the hell out. And then they found out that that night, a lot of houses in their neighborhood were broken into. They were checking to see if people were home so they could break into their house.
Right. Yeah, try that today.
Yeah, now there's cameras and all kinds of stuff. People's ring lights. Balusters.
And Danny mentions there's some similarities to the first Manson murders. Yeah, I heard that too. I didn't hear about the Brian Bertino one, but I had heard that they had talked about me and John had mentioned this beforehand, that this was based on partly based on the Manson murders, which was a terribly, that was a very scary crime, probably the most famous crime in American history, actually. Definitely the most covered, the most written about.
I think that's why it scares people so much because they're like, well, if they could do that to a famous celebrity who has all this money and all this security, that can happen to me.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
when you watch a lot of foreign horror, because we mentioned them earlier, you see, that's why I think it's so fascinating about, watch as many movies from as many different countries as you can, because what scares people is different in other countries. And largely, I think the slasher genre, the reason why it's so popular in America and not so much in other countries is because the biggest thing that we're scared of here, it's not going hungry, it's not monsters, it's not ghosts, it's our next door neighbors.
Yeah.
We don't know them.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And social media has actually made it, think about this. Now we don't know exactly where these guys are at, but yet they must have been in close to different homes, because we saw the two boys riding their bicycles the next day, right? So James had neighbors, yet during
That
the whole
wasn't his
thing,
house.
no cops were called, no neighbors came over to see what was going on. I mean, he fired off the shotgun, and the noise in the house of the fight, you could hear that all over the place, and yet nobody came to see what was going on. No cops were actually sent from anywhere. I thought that was really telling.
Yeah, I think so too. That's not his house. It's he grew up in that house and
Yeah.
his brother is letting him stay there. And that's why with their production design, they really wanted it to look kind of like a 70s house because that was the time that movie came out. It was supposed to look like maybe the house you grew up in or maybe the house that your brother lives in. And I think they did a good job with that. I remember a lot of houses that were kind of designed that way. You don't see them as much anymore, but for a while there, I do remember them.
Well, I was thinking what you said about, where we fear our neighbors. And, to me, it's like a lot of times you see somebody and they'll sit there and say, well, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get involved. You hear, loud voices and you go like, okay, you'll look, but you don't want to get involved.
It's
And
again, self-defense class I took. They told you if you're being attacked, scream fire, not rape, not I'm being attacked. More people come to fire than rape.
that works. I can tell you that. Me and a couple of friends of ours, we came off of a show. We were on our way over to Jack in the Box for after show meal, and all of a sudden we heard this girl screaming fire. This is back when I was skinny. I'm telling you, you saw three guys running like for their lives to that because we thought there was a fire, and we must have seriously ran at least almost a damn mile to that person because she was screaming so loud. And it wasn't a fire. She was being harassed. She was being
What they tell you to do.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it works. I also when I was young, I had to walk home from work a really long ways. I got a boat horn because I was like, not only would that deafen somebody, but people are gonna be so pissed. Everyone will call the cops.
Mm-hmm.
Smart
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I was just like I was noticing the lack of participation from their neighbors to come over and help them out. But I think that's I think that's sort of a commentary on our society. I mean, even back in 2008, we could already see. Go ahead.
Halloween did that too. Remember when Lori goes to her neighbor's house and they have the window open, they see her and they close the blinds.
Yeah.
Because they're scared.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't want to be involved. Very, very, let's see, Agnat podcast. Hi, how are you? First time here. You're welcome. Grande looks pissed.
It's not because of us, we swear. It's the movie.
No, definitely not because of you guys.
No, he's solid. He's solid. Have you guys ever been in a situation with something like that? I mean, you ever been in a situation where you had a fight or flight?
A little bit.
I'll put that question out to the chat too. Have you ever been in a position where you've had a fight or flight?
I don't want to say like necessarily that position. I mean, I have been in those positions before, and when it's gotten down to, I did have one friend who they thought they were being funny, but they're a lot bigger than me, and they had me pinned down, and I got my arm out and bunny popped him in the face, and it's like, dude, and he was so mad at me, and I was like, dude, that's just reflexes. That's how you defend yourself, unless you're Liv Tyler. But the story that reminds me of this movie the most is it wasn't even that late. It was it was late because it was after the bars had closed. It was like 2:00 in the morning, and I'm all by myself in the house. And where I lived, it was kind of the way home from like bar traffic. So occasionally you hear like loud people walking down the street drunk. Well, this girl comes to my door and she's really upset and she's like, "Can I use your phone?" I'm like, "I've seen a lot of horror movies." I was like, "You wait here. I'm not inviting you in, but I will bring the phone to you." So I go get a phone. I get my really big knife. I think you guys have seen my knife.
Oh shit!
Oh, is this like a
I got
samurai sword?
this knife.
Oh my god!
And I don't show it to her or anything. I give her the phone, and she says she was at the bar, and her boyfriend is being a dick. These guys are following her home. They're harassing her, and she doesn't know what to do. So she's gonna walk. And I was like, okay, well, if there's, I said I don't have a car with me. She tried calling her boyfriend. He refused to pick her up. So I was like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. I'm going to walk with you down the street, and we're gonna take this. And if they come at us, we'll be prepared. She didn't have to go that far. And they didn't even come. Actually, her boyfriend ended up picking her up. But yeah, that was my like, is Tamara home moment where I did not know what to do, but I did want to help.
God bless. You're a warrior. I'm glad to say I've never been in a fight or flight situation like that. I hope it never ever happens. But that is I'll tell you one thing, if I ever do, I'm hitting up Gory, man. We're going she's gonna lead me through like Scott Speedman. And hopefully I shoot my best friend.
Yeah, we're all heading. If the world comes to the end, we're heading for the Gory hole.
Yay! I'll protect you guys. That's what we call it on my channel.
That's right.
Really?
Yes. Oh yeah. You're going to the Gory hole tonight, buddy.
You are.
You're gonna.
3 words get wet.
Wow! Before a work night, that's something.
Look who's just walked in the chat. Our good friend Anthony from Fever Dreamland Theater, who just dropped a brand new Twilight Zone review on his channel.
Oh, that's
Marvin, the Grave.
I had to give him major props. He mentioned the mighty cheetah. Well, at least the cheetah's inspiration anyway. In his review. So hats off to Anthony. Great review. So as far as that goes, yeah, I'm thinking about more films that I think that have maybe been a little bit more effective, like Last House on the Left. That was a really strong home invasion movie too. That was
not a home invasion, though. I don't think, because they go to the house to hide out, and then they bit off more than they can chew when the family realizes that those are the guys who did something to hurt their daughter. That one's a little more like Don't Breathe.
Yeah, wasn't it funny? They were ready. I mean, they were ready to rumble. I mean, that was like a case of, it was like they walked inside there. They found their daughter, and then all of a sudden it was like, they didn't want any help. They didn't call for the cops or anything. They said they take care of it themselves. Yeah. And I thought that was a really effective twist on the even though it was early on in the genre. Because most of the time they always show the people as being victims and staggering around and trying to survive. And the Last House on the Left, they turned it against the invaders. The people are trying to hide out.
They welcomed them in.
Those guys were welcomed in, though. So I don't think it counts as home invasion.
Yeah, okay.
That's more like rape revenge, where the family gets revenge instead of the girl.
Yeah, that's a good point. And even another one with David Hess would be House on the Edge of the Park, which some would consider that to be home invasion. But it's like they invited him to the party, and then when you get to the twist at the end, it was all set up. Like they were, okay, come in, have your fun, and then by the end, we're gonna get you. Like that's, I think, a different type of home invasion movie. But I understand where you could say it's not at the same time.
I mean, definitely household horror. I mean, there's a lot of things that take place in someone's own home.
Yeah, for sure. I would say I like this one. This is my favorite home invasion movie for sure.
The original or the remake?
The original. It's the original. I'm not a remake guy at all. I'm not generally. Even though it's the same movie.
Funny Game? Isn't that a European film?
Yeah, this is I believe it's an Austrian film. Michael Haneke's Funny Games. It's one of those. It's a horror movie that's actually kind of subverting all the tropes, so it's different in that vein. And it's a lot of people say, oh, it's not a horror movie, and if it was a hit, then people would forget the point of it or miss the point of it. I get the point of it. I still think it's an effective movie on its own.
It judges you for liking to watch those kind of movies.
Yes, exactly.
Is that sort of science fiction though too?
No.
It
does break the fourth wall though. But again, it's because it's judging you. You're part of the movie. You're a character in the movie.
Oh wow. Okay.
Like this movie, this is one of those movies where it like would make fun of, like, if it would be like, oh, you like The Strangers, like, and you watch this, and it's like it tries to make a movie like that look
It
stupid.
basically says you're a terrible person for liking The Strangers.
Yeah, basically.
Oh.
Which is funny. It has a sense of humor about it, but yeah, and it's a different one. I think that would be a fun one for us to all watch together because it's a different one, but it's a good home
Fun
invasion.
one, huh? Funny games. I don't know. I don't know. Like, but I'll be
Check
honest.
out the remake because the director
Yeah.
did the remake too.
Yeah, it's virtually the same movie, just in English. But I don't know. Like, I won't lie. I love, like I said, I love Home Invasion. Inside. I mean, I love a lot of Home Invasion.
You're next. Someone mentioned that. That's a good one.
Yeah, Anthony, your next fits into that different type of category. It's not exactly just a straight home invasion. Kevin's mentioning the actions of the parent characters in Last House on the Left seems so questionable to me, even in a revenge scenario. Oh, I think if you saw one of your loved ones being assaulted, I think there's no rules after that.
Again, that movie, like, we're talking about really different movies here, have different intentions. Last House on the Left is not like this one where it's trying to scare you. It's basically trying to say in the right scenario, we're all animals. Last House on the Left is a completely different beast.
Danny mentions People Under the Stairs. I have not seen that one yet, so I can't say that.
Good one.
I love People Under the Stairs.
I have a couple more fun facts for you guys if you want them.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so here's a funny one. Liv Tyler is in this movie called The Strangers. Her father, Steven Tyler, before he was in Aerosmith, was in a band called The Strangers. What? Blows your mind. Here's another funny one. The girl who plays Dollface, who asks if Tamara's home, she plays Tamara in Pirates of the Caribbean, Stranger Tides.
Wow. And that came after this movie. Wow.
Everyone's minds. Also, they shot this movie in chronological order, which probably really helped the actors to kind of get into the place they need to be. Also, Kurt Russell's afraid of this movie, which is weird. It's like, did you not watch
Really?
This? Yeah.
Really? Wow. Kurt Russell, a stuntman,
like some talk show he was on, like Jimmy Fallon or something.
Wow.
Well, see, I think, like I said, it's a primal fear. You know, our house is supposed to, your house is your castle, so they say, and I think having your castle, so to speak, invaded on any level, I think it's just like, it's a very traumatizing thing. Your security's taken away from it. You're not, you don't feel necessarily safe. You start distrusting everybody that looks at your house sideways. I mean, you could definitely see, why home invasions are, like you see people with bars on their windows, and to keep people out, even though it's like if there's a fire, they're dead.
Well, that's the thing. We have this false sense of security in our homes, but really, you're not that safe. Watch Night of the Living Dead to see how safe you are in a building. Windows can be broken, doors can be kicked down. You're not that safe, but because it's our homes, we feel safe. We almost feel like there's like it's like a violation when someone comes in without being welcomed, but it's actually really easy to do. And I think that's why we're so afraid of it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's one of the reasons why, even now, it used to be you get door-to-door salesmen, or even, the religious, and it used to be it's just part of life. Nobody really cared about it. Nobody really gave it much thought. It is what it is. But now in today's society, you come up to even in the middle of the day, people come knocking on your door, and they're just trying to do a job or whatever. I speaking for myself, I don't really welcome them. I'm not really as soon as I see them on front of my house, I'm immediately on the defensive as far as I don't need or want anything as you're pushing. It's like I'm sure they're nice people, but I don't know them. And,
like those signs are of like, I've already found God. I know who I'm voting for, unless it's Girl Scout cookies. F off.
Right. Yeah. Unless you're donating, unless you're going to give me free samples of those Girl Scout cookies. No.
Unless you've got my Amazon package, go away.
That's right. So I don't think people today. I mean, when knocking on the door asking if to use the phone. Would you do that today versus what you did back then? Would you be so willing to do it today?
That wasn't that long ago.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It was
Yeah,
like
I
5
don't
years
know
ago.
how I don't know how I would react to it, you know?
It depends on the person and stuff. This was a girl. I mean, she didn't. I don't know her or anything, but she looked scared. And it
Yeah.
depends on the person. If the person sharing at my house, oh, cool, is Tamara there? I'm just gonna be like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
And
I
probably keep an eye on them,
Tamara
make sure that they leave. But if
yeah.
somebody's scared, that's what really pisses me off about the boyfriend in this. He comes home and he doesn't believe her. She is clearly terrified. Like, what kind of partner are you that you can't see that she's terrified? Get her the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Even if you don't
Yeah.
believe her, just
I'm with
let her
you.
out.
He did not play it out right at all. As
So,
soon as he walked in and saw her in that situation, you just grab her purse, and run for the hills. Get out of the car and just go.
yeah, like
Um,
Kenzie in the second one when she's on the road, like I would be able to say that this girl is scared and I would want to help her. If I saw somebody who was genuinely terrified, or at least able to convince me that they were genuinely terrified, I would do what I could to help. Because
um,
I
think
would
that's
want
right
someone to
there.
help me.
Completely agree.
Yep, I completely agree too. Danny mentions because Kurt Russell had some stalkers. Yeah, I guess if you're a stalker, this would actually get into your brain pan a little bit too. People knocking on your door, because they want to get close to you. Yeah, that would be a. And there's been many cases where celebrities' houses have been broken into, and they've come home to find that person inside their home.
There are lots of ones where they found people living in their house. And a good one is shit, what's the name of that one? There's one where the guy's living in their attic. And it's really creepy. And
There's
he
one
figures out
called Wake.
by stealing their car and having it drive home.
There's been a couple of movies. There's one movie called Housebound about a person
That was
who
really good.
housebound, and then there's one called Wakefield. It wasn't necessarily a stalker per se, but it was a gentleman who's living above. He's living across the street from his family in somebody's attic, and they didn't know that he was there. And
Yeah,
he was
Homeland is the one I'm thinking of. The guy steals his family's car when they go on vacation, and he uses the GPS in the car to go home, so he knows they're not there. And he spends his time like kind of being creepy in their house, and then when they get home, he hides out in the attic, and then eventually he starts doing stuff. Like he like spits in their orange juice. So gross.
It almost sounds like Bad Ronald. That's always a movie I always really liked.
Oh, Bad Ronald is. You know what? That is a really interesting movie too. That movie is so underrated, and it's. I don't know why it got labeled as horror though. It's a sad movie. Is what that is. Holy shit, that movie's sad.
I actually really like Bad Ronald. That's one of my favorite like TV horror movies. I would say it's horror, but yeah, I get what you mean. Like it's not straight up, it's not exploitative horror like the 70s was really at that time. It's very TV movie horror for me at least.
Yeah, but I felt really bad for him.
Me too.
That's a really good movie. Hangman was good. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes, Hangman. Wow. That's a great movie. Serial killer who's laying clues and going inside the people's
He's
houses.
talking about the one I was talking about. We have that one where the guy's hiding in the attic. There's a couple movies called Hangman.
Oh, okay. Because I saw that one. I saw that one and went like, oh yes, well with Al Pacino.
Yeah, with Al Pacino. Yeah, there's another one.
Yep. Did you have that one too?
No, I don't actually haven't seen it, but I've heard it's good.
It's good. It's real good. So as far as this movie, you said it was 10 years apart between the first movie and the second movie?
Yeah, 2008 this one comes out. The sequel comes out in 2018. It was 3 months shy of like exactly 10 years.
It was delayed a long time though. It was announced in 2009.
Yeah, it was in development hell basically. And they went through 3 or 4 different directors that were going to do it at a point. I just can't like you strike the iron when it's hot or you don't do it to me,
I think I heard the movie, the sequel.
Yeah, I would say even though like I know you and me, we like the sequel way better. I think the sequel is a completely different movie. Like actually, I would love to see the ratio of people that actually like both, because they're completely different to me.
I like them both. I just like the second one more.
Yeah.
I think the second one has more rewatch value too.
It's more fun. It's more 80s slasher, where this is more slow burn, but there's no payoff. Like I like a good slow burn if you get to a payoff or a climax of some sort. But this is more like the psychology. It's like,
Did you
oh,
think?
You have to admit though, the ending is something like, man, I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect that ending. You know, where they
What part
literally
of it? That he was still alive?
that where they actually did that. I mean, I thought they would, you know, when they tied him up like that, and I was like, okay, but of course, as soon as they saw them taking off their masks, you knew that shit was going to hit the fan, because it's like you knew they were going to be.
That's scary. That's a really scary scene. I also, the final jump scare, because you're like, why isn't that movie over after you think they're dead? And God, I'm so pissed off when she finally hears the phone. I'm like, Jesus, I know he was his best friend, but you should have checked him for keys and a phone right away. That's a resource. That's really frustrating, but I mean, I've accepted that they're done. But that final part where she screams, that's a great jump scare to end on, and it's really chilling.
Yeah, yeah. Well, just the fact that you could hear, where they're stabbing them, and her, and then they, again, it's like you hear those terrible screams, and they go back, they pan out, and next thing you know, you don't see anything. You don't, that you see the neighborhood, that houses. It's not like they were at a cabin in the woods. They were by houses, but yet no one even thought twice about it. No one even thought about, like, wow, I'm hearing two people scream for their lives, and I'm not reacting to it. I thought that was scary as hell.
I think that's true. I think we have a lot of false security. Your neighbors are more likely to call the police because your dog is pissing them off than because you're screaming. Honestly, I hear screams, especially like when I used to live in that one house that was near the bar. I'd hear screams and I'd just be like, it's probably drunk people.
Yeah.
I would just assume that. And sometimes you'll hear things and you're like, was that a gunshot or was that a car backfiring? Like, I would have to know for sure to actually go check, I guess.
Right. Anthony's mentioning Us is maybe the most bizarre home invasion movie he can recall. And then Danny mentioned very bleak payoff. This movie has definitely a 70s vibe to it in that respect. It screams 70s, because in the 70s, there's never been a decade of movies where they have a more downer endings. I mean, not jump scare endings, just straight up out, just dark endings. No happy endings. And this movie does remind me of that. It reminds me of watching like a 70s thriller. There's just no happy ending at all.
Part of me for myself, and I wonder this, if this is just a me thing or what. If this was a 70s movie, like let's say this came out in 1978, not 2008, like maybe, like, is it possible in an alternate universe that I would actually like this movie more, as opposed to being made as a throwback, being made in the actual era it's trying to replicate? Maybe it would work better for me. I don't know. Like, that's just me thinking about my own, like, why I like it.
And to be a true 70s payoff, I'm thinking of movies like Gator Bait and stuff. Final girls are badass in the 70s. Laurie Strode was a babysitter and she still knew how to throw down.
Yeah, maybe if it was made in the 70s.
Yeah, that was very late in the decade. That was very late in the decade, though, because before the decade, in the early 70s all the way through, they were all surviving. They were just dying as well as anybody else. I mean, look at Carrie. I mean, she ended up dying in her movie. And there's
here's my problem with this movie, and it's not that the killers get away, because the killers get away in a lot of movies, and I think it's scary that the killers get away, and that if I was part of the writers' room in this, I'd be like, yeah, they should get away. What annoys me is that it's such, as Danny would put it, being a wrestler, a squash match. It annoys me that they don't have a single scratch on them, because nothing was done. There was no fight back. There was no moment of, I think you get more suspense, like when you think that there's a chance, like, oh, they're fighting back, there's a chance. We never get that, and it actually kills some of the suspense.
I agree, 100%.
And I also think that what else kills the suspense is we know from the beginning of this movie that these people are probably going to die, which makes that jump scare with Liv Tyler at the end pretty effective because we're pretty sure they're going to die. The suspense is in us trying to figure out why the killers are doing this, and us trying to see like how the characters might fight back, and unfortunately they don't fight back. So
That's another Bertino trademark though too, is like he never explains anything. Like like in the monster, we never know where the monster came from. We just know that it was all of a sudden 1 minute they're driving down the road, next minute it's gone. And the Dark and the Wicked, we don't know what the deal the mother made to save the dad's life. We don't know that. All we know is that she paid a deal. She made a deal, and we don't know what it is. You get dropped in the middle. You get sort of like dropped in the middle of his stories, and then you're told, figure it out. Go exploring, and that is that. I really, it makes you think, and I think that's one of his strengths, is that he makes you think about the story he's telling. You're not just sitting there being spoon fed. No, you're asked to go outside the box of a normal horror film, which is you just sit there and go like stare at the screen. Oh, okay, well they're okay. There goes Jason killing another kid. We see that, but here it's like, where do these guys come from? Why are they doing what they're doing? As far as and then leaving them to go off to do it again, like they said. It's like next time it'll be easier. And
that bothered me too, because that implies that this is their first time and they didn't make a single fuck up. They've never killed anybody.
They made all sorts of. I mean, in a real world, they would have made all sorts of fuck ups. I mean, that all the noise.
I wish they would have messed up once or gotten, like, okay, if, for instance, if I was going to rewrite a scene, here's an example of when I was talking about with Danny today. When Mike comes in, we see the man with the mask behind him holding an axe. We know that Jamie is sitting there with a gun. I think when he hears the guy say hello, like just reaction, he shoots. Also, Jamie's never shot a gun before and he hits him right in the head. Get on my zombie team.
Yeah.
But I think he should have missed. And then Mike should have been like, what the fuck, dude? And then he drops the shotgun. He's like, oh, dude, Mike. And then the axe comes down. We least expect it. He grabs the gun, but by the time he does, the guy's, masked man's down the hallway and he can maybe shoot him in the shoulder or something that's not going to kill him. But, just play with it more. It was such a squash match.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I don't know, like this movie. Yeah, I know you're saying it's interesting that he's leaving a lot of this stuff here for you to think about. I think that the whole point of it is that there is nothing. That it's just it is we killed you just because it was fun, because you were home, because this, that, and the other. And like I said, the unnecessary, we're taking religious pamphlets and it'll be easier next time. I agree. That line bothers me too. Like you didn't go, like it went too swimmingly. If this was the first time they did this, like it's just too hard to believe to me. I don't know. And I don't know. I don't find a lot of the themes that this sets up that interesting to even ask about. Like they don't give enough for me to really care or reach out. Like I think the whole thing is bleak.
Something that you said that kind of is, sorry, can I go? Or
no, go by means. Yeah.
Something that you said that I thought was really interesting and made me think, that is interesting about the themes here is that they don't have a plan. And I think maybe that's what the director was going for. They're trying to tell you how uninteresting real killers are. They're not Jason or anything with these awesome backstories or origins. They're just really sick people who just want to hurt other people. Like when you think about the Manson murders and stuff, people try to celebritize them, but they weren't interesting. They were just really gross, sick people who did horrible things to people because it made them, it for whatever reason, entertained them. And that's gross. And I think maybe on some level, the director's trying to say that it's not actually interesting, like kind of like funny games, even that, we watch these movies to be entertained, but really it's not entertaining.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I didn't find them being slaughtered at the end. I didn't find that entertaining at all. I just found that to be, I found that to be terribly sad and, very bleak, and, they didn't deserve it. It'd be one thing if they had, hit and run somebody's kid, or something like that. Like I watched a movie called Ditched last year, and it was basically these people did horrible things, and these people, victims, hired this group of people to get revenge, and they did on these people that committed, did terrible crimes. I get that. I mean, but this here was just it was just like a Dan. I mean, it wasn't exploitation. It was just maybe it was just a little too real. It's like you
Yeah,
can see
they're
it
not
happen.
exploitive
Yeah,
kills. It's pretty simple.
yeah.
You know
Um,
what else I think it is? It's like, 'cause I just watched Dahmer this year, and a lot of people, when something horrible happens like that, or there's a serial killer, people are like, why? And they want some good reason. There usually isn't a good reason. It's just
no,
because
there,
that's
no.
the kind of people they are. There's
Yeah.
you're not going to get the answer you're looking for. Like if your child was killed by a serial killer and you want some answer as to why did this happen? Why did this horrible thing happen to this good person? You're never going to get the answer you want because it's
No,
not a good reason.
no,
Yeah, and
no.
I think that's the point. I think that's the thing I would say the director said there is no like who cares? The reason doesn't matter because it's not going to satisfy you even if there was. Like it was they years ago got into a car accident and killed one of their brother or whatever the fuck. Like that would be
So
horrible.
easy.
That would be totally horrible. And I've seen movies do it, but that's terrible. Like, it's totally unnecessary. But I don't like as far as like I don't know. I personally never thought about it. I just thought it was like really poorly. It was like I don't know, man. I just never cared for the kid. I didn't really find the design scary either. Like the masks, like to me it looked like the
No, the
fucking
mask.
dirty underwear over his fucking head. Like,
No, I'm with you. The mask did not do anything for me.
I like the
You know,
masks.
I was thinking, I would like to see something, a little bit more, a little bit more, maybe a little bit more exciting. But no, that wasn't exciting at all. That was pretty pedestrian. Do
I
you think
think
do you think they made this movie? Do you think they made this movie with an idea of a franchise in mind, or you think they were just made it just for the a standalone?
standalone for
I
sure.
think
I
that's
think
doing standalone. One thing I wanted to say though quickly about the man in the mask and why his mask is so different. I think they're trying to do kind of like a Michael Myers thing, almost like a blank slate. Also, it's interesting that he is the only character in both films who doesn't have any dialogue. Kind of like a Michael Myers character.
and they changed all three actors, I believe, in the sequel. Even
Yeah.
though it's the same three characters, all the actors did not come back.
Yeah, the man in the mask is a guy who was in Haunt and something else. He's done a few horror things.
Yeah,
I think like that's the thing that maybe the reason this movie did better than they expected. I think this movie struck a nerve. Like I know a lot of people that they'll tell you this is like one of their favorites. It scared the shit out of them. It's like an effective midnight movie for them. I think that's what this movie did. Like its legacy, if you want to even say it has one, is it struck a nerve in the community. It scared certain people. I personally think it did, like it just didn't do that for me. It didn't strike a nerve with me. But then again, it's like I would say I've seen a lot more at the same time. And then I think if I'm an everyday moviegoer, maybe this would blow me away like that. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just my psychology. I know you guys have probably seen a ton too. And I don't
yeah.
know did it strike that nerve? I guess that would be my question.
No.
Did it strike a
I
nerve?
mean, it struck the nerve in the fact that the ending struck a nerve because that was just brutal. But as far as overall the movie goes, I mean, I've seen better. I mean, this is a solid. I look at this movie sort of like a building piece on Bertino's work, as a stepping stone. Okay, he did The Strangers, then he did The Monster, then he did Black Coat's Daughter, then he did, then he Dark and the Wicked. He's building, and every movie that he worked on, you can see the progression, and the maturity of his writing and his directing. That's what I really took out of the Strangers. That's what I took most out of it.
So you
And
see it
that,
more as a stepping stone in his career. However, his career has never gotten bigger than this, right? Like, because I like The Monster. I think it's a better movie than this. I do think it has problems. It's like an average movie. I would watch it 3 times before I'd watch The Strangers again. But I think, like, this the everyday moviegoer, they're not gonna know what the fuck The Monster is. There's no way. The movie didn't go. Did it go theatrical? And if it did, it didn't get wide.
I think it did in Canada. That was an early A24 film. They didn't get any publicity for it. Now if they released it, now everybody be slobber knocking all over it because that's how slappies are. But But no, when it came out, nobody knew anything about it.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that like even though you see this as a stepping stone, this is still the only movie that most like every average Joe Blow, like I said, is going to know from him. So I don't
Um,
know. Did it help? Did it hurt?
I thought the Dark and the Wicked made enough noise to to establish. I think as far as
He didn't make
publicity,
mainstream noise, and I think that's what John's
yeah.
saying.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I think he got a lot of mainstream noise with Dark and the Wicked. I mean, it won a few awards. It was out there in a lot of the best lists and everything else. I mean, he definitely he, and the thing is though, it's like he didn't get promoted right away. Like Kevin Thomas did. Kevin Thomas did the Vigil. I mean, he did that movie for IFC Midnight. Solid thriller, solid. Connect the dots, really good. But then all of a sudden they turned around and they gave him the Firestarter movie. Big mistake. He just wasn't ready for that.
I think when it comes to movies, like there's ones horror people know about, and then there's ones mainstream people know about.
Yeah.
Everybody, my kid brother who doesn't like horror movies knows when there's a new Jason movie coming out. You ask when The Dark and the Wicked is, he has no idea, but he can tell you that The Strangers is a movie. He hasn't seen it, but he knows it exists.
Yeah, exactly. That's more my point. I think it's like it's crazy because sometimes you see directors they use that first film. Like let's look at let's say Hush, right? Mike Flanagan makes that, and then Oculus was a theatrical movie, whether people remember it or not. Like eventually he's making Doctor Sleep, which was a big it's a sequel to China. I know it didn't do well, but again, that's I would see stepping stones to movies that are more mainstream. Bertino, it seems like he started out on top and and maybe is making better content now with like I said, I've seen The Monster. That's the only other movie from him I've seen. I did see Mockingbird. I thought that was a piece of shit. But like I said, nobody knows Mockingbird. Didn't go to the theater, didn't this, that, or the other. So it is kind of an interesting look at the field, if you will. Like you start with your slasher-esque movie, more home invasion, and then he kind of got better, but got less notoriety than this particular movie.
I think The Strangers also appeals to more universal themes in some of his other movies. You have Dark and the Wicked, which is dealing with siblings and their parents. That's kind of you're cutting your audience down a little bit. This is everybody lives similar, and that that feeling of walking around your house at night and how scary a knock would be, or wondering if that noise behind you, could it be somebody? And you watch this movie, and I think a lot of people did think, oh God, it could be that guy in a mask in my house or somebody like that. I think that's why it might have gotten under people's skin. Also, in our homes, we're completely different people. I'll do things in my home I won't do anywhere else. I'll sit there like unshowered for 2 days in my pajama pants with a messy ponytail, eating cereal dry because I forgot to buy milk. We do stupid shit in our homes because we feel completely comfortable. You're not expecting anybody to just come in. It's not like you're training for this fight. And so it makes you think, like, what about when you're least expecting it? These people are going through something really emotional. They want to deal with that. When you're at your most vulnerable, like, what if somebody came in and they just wanted to hurt you?
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's what got under people's skin. It maybe didn't do it for us, but I think it did for a lot of people.
It must have. I mean, it was like I said, it was a hit. I don't see him directing the next one or even writing it. I do see him producing it, but I don't see him doing anything other than that. I think he's going to be. I think he looked at it like been there, done that. So he's going to move forward, and he's just one of those directors for me anyway that I'm always curious to see what he's doing. I want to see what he's going to do next when he announces his project. I'm all in with it. I want to see what it is. I'm excited. And that's pretty rare for directors these days, I feel.
The next one's about a couple on a cross-country drive in order to get a new beginning, which I think is kind of playing on with the couple in this one. Unfortunately, they have no other choice but to stop in a seclusive B&B, and B&Bs are evil, guys. That's what I learned from horror. B&B in Oregon, a night of care against 3 masked strangers. I like that it's in Oregon, Pacific Northwest, yo. But I think that sounds pretty cool. It's got what's her butt who's in Riverdale, Madeline Petch.
Oh wow, okay.
And yeah, Rennie Harlan. I don't see anywhere in here Bertino's name. I don't think he's involved at all. Not even. I'm not even seeing him as a producer.
I'm sure he'll get a paycheck though, like just like
yeah.
Well,
he created the
he'll have to get some kind of nod or something, unless he. I also don't know if they've asked him, because then there's some people like, when they made the Child's Play remake, they were like, well, Dom and Mancini, you can have a producer credit. And he was like, go fuck your producer credit. He wanted nothing to do with it because he thought that they were being disrespectful to something that he was actively working on. It's possible Bertino has declined any kind of credit.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes directors, like I said, sometimes directors will, I've already said what I needed to say with what I said, and I'm just going to move on. I'm not going to be one of those directors that's making the same movie 5 or 6 times. And I respect that. I do. I mean, I know some directors, they'll go back to the well because that's what they know. Kevin Smith.
Adam Green.
I love Adam Green.
But I love Adam Green. Oh, come on, that's hard. Oh.
I think Adam Green's mixed it up a lot, like digging in the marrow and stuff. He just, he goes back to Hatchet a lot, but he's also stopped directing them.
I like Frozen. That's about it, though.
Frozen's good.
Yeah, he named his dog.
Pyro is good. He's done something really good.
He named his dog after Liv Tyler. He named his dog Arwen.
It all connects, guys.
That's right. Now we just got to find Kevin Bacon. I tell you what.
Oh my God, that'd be a great show.
I think we have personally covered The Strangers from top to bottom. I do think that we should think about maybe wrapping this one up, because the next movie is up, and that's going to be on Gory's channel. And I will say it's a lot more interesting. There's a lot more action. There's a lot more kills. There's rising stars in it. There's a star in this movie that has that has been in a surprisingly amount of really quality horror films. One maybe not so quality, but we could talk about that over there at Gory B's channel. So what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna drop links.
No, I gotta say something really, really quick. I'm gonna die if I don't.
Okay.
Kevin Bacon and Liv Tyler both in Super did it in one. Okay, good.
Yeah, Kevin. Oh, God, we should do that. We should do 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon. All right. Let me go grab your channel. And then I'm gonna go ahead and what time are you gonna go on? Are you gonna go on your normal time, or are you gonna go on at 10?
I had it at 7:30, or I had it at 7, and then you said 7:30, so I changed a bit. I think we can do 7. So you guys are on the East Coast, and I don't want you guys to be up all night. My dog is freaking out.
I don't know how long I'll be able to stay on the second one, but I'll definitely be there for the beginning for sure.
Let's do 7.
Yeah.
Or so not 7 for you guys.
That'd be 10.
10 for you guys. Yeah.
10 for us. Okay. I'm gonna be dropping the link right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
All right, boys and girls.
I wanna be here. Sorry.
Okay, so here's the link to Gory's movie. I'm gonna leave it here here. Give you guys a chance to go over there and
my dog's peeing.
Okay. Gory already beat me. Danny says Adam Green is his hero. See, that's what I love about Danny. I'm personally, Joe Lynch is my hero. Can't do no wrong.
I think check out more of his filmography. I think you guys will be surprised.
Joe, I will say this though: if I had to choose either Adam Green or Joe Lynch, I'd pick Joe Lynch all day long, every day, all day.
So nice.
Yeah. Adam Green has also gone out and helped produce a lot of movies too, like Spiral and Grace and stuff. So he's actively, and he puts so many veteran actors in his movies. So I think he's actively helping to improve.
We could actually do that for a topic. The films. Well, I don't know if John would be here for Adam Green, but I would be, because I love Adam Green. I love Joe Lynch, and those two guys are, you can't think of one without the other. Joe Lynch, of all the directors that cast, you look at the cast and you just shake your head and go, how the hell did they get her or him? Joe Lynch is number one with a bullet. That guy gets actors that you would never think that would be in his films, because they're like actors, and yet they'll come down and they'll get bloody and messy and gooey for him. I think it's awesome.
Adam and Joe are both really lovely, down to earth. They have a great podcast that I listen to a lot. They do the Yorkie-thon. Adam Green arranges so many things to help support horror actors, veteran horror actors, to help people make their movies. He's really when he got success, he really did pay it forward. I think Joe Lynch is great. I think they're both incredible. But yeah, Adam Green, he's really done a lot. Definitely not someone to be discounted. Danny met him at Odoris's funeral, which he went to because, Dave Brockie was on his show Holliston, which hilarious, by the way. But yeah, he went there and Danny met him and he like hung out with Danny like the whole time. Really down to earth dude.
That is actually a grail guess for me. If I could get either Adam Green or Joe Lynch to come on 8 questions with, that's like a it's like a grail list. And like I have a list of anybody who I wanted to talk to, and it's like they're right up there. They're like in the top 10%. I have a long list. So
and check out Holliston, which has Adam Green and Joe Lynch in it, and Tony Todd, so many amazing people. Derek Mears in it. It's kind of like the Big Bang Theory with horror nerds.
Also has Corey English, who's like a top 10 woman of all time.
Yep.
She Corey was in Okay.
Corey English.
I have to go see who I know who Corey Everson is. I have to go see who Corey English is.
She's a babe.
She is a babe. I would agree with that.
Meow.
All right, boys and girls. So there we go. It is now about 20 minutes.
We're ready to step inside the gory hole.
We're heading to the gory hole. Well, thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with us. We'll see you in about 20 minutes. Thanks so much, and have a great night. Next week, I'll be joined next week. I'll be joined by the Bat. Tomorrow I'll be joined by the Bat. We're interviewing Deborah Sullivan tomorrow night at 8 o'clock for 8 questions with. Deborah Sullivan did Secret Santa, and she contributed to the story of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Leatherface, and she also starred in a wonderful movie called, I think I mentioned that, Secret Santa. And she's also Adam Marcus's partner, and they run Skeleton Crew. So she'll be on tomorrow night, and I'll be joined by the Bat. Next Sunday here, we'll be talking about Martyrs.
I love that movie. It's like one of the most beautiful movies about friendship ever made.
So we'll be getting into Martyrs, and then in 2 weeks from now, we will be covering The Last Exorcism. So
that's a good movie too. I'm gonna have to watch this.
All right. Thanks so much for coming out. We will see you soon in about 20 minutes.
Thanks for having me.
Anyone know how to do the robot?
I was like, come on. Here's my phone acting all goofy again.
It happens.
It does.
John, do you have any sick dance moves?
Me?
I know the Macarena.